ॐ महादेवी च विद्महे विष्णुपत्नी च धीमहि तन्नो लक्ष्मी प्रचोदयात्।
Today I am going to talk about the Hara, the point of intentionality. Hara is basically an energy point which is behind the Swadhisthana chakra. It is called as the Hara point. The Japanese use this point to do the harakiri. If you try to put a knife into the harakiri, immediately you have an instant death, painless death which happens across on that thing. This is the seat of the Alaya Vignan, the storehouse of the karma. Now why I am talking about is, normally this Hara doesn't open up for many people. It is actually when you sleep, when you have sex, and at times when there are certain planetary combination, the Hara opens up. Whenever Hara opens up, there is a shift in the karma which happens in a people's life. This is actually the point where everything gets recorded. For example, whatever good or bad karma you are doing, whatever action, words, thoughts and mind you are having, the 24 hours the recording is kept over there. That is why in India this place is called as the Chitragupt. Chitragupt means the secret pictures which is there across. So the point is, if somebody wants to overcome their karma, somebody wants to overcome anything across, this particular place has to be accessed. Normally what happens is, you can easily access the heart chakra, you can easily access the mind chakra, you can easily access the throat chakra also. But to access this intentionality is very difficult. It takes quite a while, it takes quite a bit of time, and where you need to focus, and that is why people talk about the core exercises. Now when you do bodybuilding, when you do gymnastics across, there is something called as the core exercises, because it tends to balance the body and try to create a lot of harmony in your movement across. In fact, dancers use it, martial art use it. This is called as the core area. Anyway, so you need to focus in this particular area and do your mantra. Now whenever you do this mantra on that particular area, the area slowly will open up. Now as you open up, there will be images which will be coming across. Now with your will, if you connect the images and correct the images, normally the Alaya Vignan changes. That is the way to change the karma across as a person. Now many people try to change the karma using the will. It does not happen. That is why when you get angry, you don't want to respond with anger or fear, but even in spite of that, you tend to blurt out certain things. You tend to say out certain things even though you don't want to do it. Now this Hara also is a point of connection. Suppose you don't want to connect with somebody, then you have to cut the cords. It is like a plain cord between these two people. That is why the mother has what you call as like the umbilical cord. The umbilical cord is in a way, it talks about the navel cord. Like the umbilical cord, there are many cords which are extending. That is why whenever you have a sexual encounter with somebody, there is a cord which runs through, and this sexual energy connects into the lineage karma across as a person. So when this connects to the lineage karma across as a person, that is why you tend to conceive, you tend to you tend to have babies, and you tend to have a future progeny across a person. So the point is, now this Hara, the point of intentionality, can be checked for one thing. Get up early in the morning and tend to check the peacefulness. Normally, if you are very peaceful in the point of Hara, the entire day will be very, very peaceful. If this particular point is not peaceful, then you are tending to get agitated. When this point is not peaceful, the breathing tends to be chaotic, especially the breathing tends to be what you call short, and it also tends to be what you call the exhalation will be very high, the inhalation will be very less. So this is the point of Hara, this is the point of intentionality. The second exercise you can do it is you ask yourself, I want Mercedes-Benz, tune into this particular area and feel it and find out whether do you really need it. If you really need the Mercedes-Benz, there will be a kind of throbbing feeling. There will be what you call it, the kind of happy feeling. There will be kind of a positive sensation you will be getting from that place. Whenever you have a positive sensation from that place, the manifestation will be very, very easy across. Now, whenever you tend to have what you call it as a very disturbed Hara, then it means the manifestation will be very, very difficult. This Hara point is the seat of guidance. The great Patanjali calls this particular point as Pratibha. The Pratibha is the point of the Hara where it tends to tell about the divine guidance. Now you want your intuition to work. Now this is the seat of the Hara. So the point is, ask yourself whether do you require any object. For example, now you are interacting with somebody, check this particular point. Whether this point makes you happy, whether this point makes you peaceful, then the relationship will be positive. Now, if you are tending to have a lot of churning, a lot of misunderstanding in this particular point, you will have a lot of what you call the future conflicts will come across. So, the Hara is the point of intentionality. It is called as the lower Dantein. The Taoist called it as the lower Dantein. So, if you want to cut any relationship, you have to cut the cords. You have to imagine the two cords between you and the other person. The cords are getting cut. So when you tend to cut the cords, the relationship between the two people will tend to cut across very, very easily across. So this is the point of intentionality which is not understood by many people. So if you're doing meditation, if you're doing long japa, now people tend to put their attention here, which is very good, but put their attention here and do your japa, you will see a lot of blocks which are getting released. There will be a lot of things which will be getting released. You will be moving into another dimension also. And also you will see a lot of changes which happens in this particular area as you are about to evolve. For example, a lady is about to get married or have children across, or you want to buy a house or anything across. This is the point of intentionality. So the point is, this is a Hara point. It is not the mind which works, it is not the speech, it is not the action, it is not the feeling, but this is the point. There was a particular person who was talking to me, and I just prayed to the Hara point saying, please reveal me who you are as a person. And suddenly the person blurted out certain things which gave me a lot of insight to the person. This is called as the unconscious, but it's a very small word to use. It is what you call it, the Alaya Vijnan, the storehouse of the images. If you can change the images here, now suppose you say, I want to lose weight, I want to lose weight, I want to lose weight. I'm actually becoming leaner every day, I'm becoming leaner every day. I eat only when I'm hungry, I eat only hungry. Just need to tune in there and do it there, then you will see a huge difference over there. So the point is, this is the Hara. That's why the fighters use it, the dancer use it. That's why people say, I tend to be very peaceful if you touch the Hara point. So these are spiritual gems, these are spiritual diamonds, these are spiritual golds which are not available. Even in the whispered tradition, many people don't understand that because they all tend to copy the books across. These are wisdom which is much beyond the books. So I request you to use these knowledge, use the point of Hara, the point of intentionality, which will help you to have a better time across. I pray God that may you use this knowledge well and may you evolve your consciousness to another dimension. Thank you so much. Okay, today we are going to talk about the concept of Dwitha, Advaitha and Vishishtadvaitha. Now, people are very confused about the concept of Advaitha, Dwitha and Vishishtadvaitha. It represents God in the formless, form state and the in-between state. Adi Shankara was one of the greatest philosophers which India had ever produced. And of course, he wanted to define everything in the very purical sense. He was a very Puritan and he wanted to define everything in the very, very Puritanical sense. So the concept of God, which is beyond names, beyond forms, and it is just energy, is what the people talk about Advaita. Advaita means actually there is no division. There is no division between the self and the personality. There is no division between the five tattvas. There is no division between the seven chakras. That is why the great, what you call it as Adi Shankara, wrote the Nirvana Shatakam. He says, na buddhi ahankar chittani rupam Shivoham, which means he says there is no buddhi, there is no ahankar, there is no brain, there is no personality, which he talks about it. Now, is this the school which is available in everything? Yes. Islam believes in the basic concept of Advaita. It says God is beyond forms, God is beyond names. You cannot have any form and any requirement for that particular thing. Now, this is a strong concept which is being advocated by Zakir Naik in his books across or in his speeches across. He says God is beyond form, beyond name, so why do you need to worship idol? This is the basic concept of Muhammad. Now, this concept is also represented in the Christianity as God the Holy Spirit. There are three things: God the Holy Spirit, God the Father, God the Son. So the God the Holy Spirit, the representation of energy, is the Advaitic concept. Now this Advaita concept is even promoted by the great Guru Nanak. He says there is no Shiva, there is no Vishnu, there is no Brahma. Don't get confused about it. In the absolute sense, there is only divine light. You dig anything deep, you will come into the divine light part of it. Now, there is a school by Valalar which is called the Sutta Shaiva Siddhanta, which talks about the God in the absolute sense. Arut Perum Jodi, Tani Perum Karunai. Now, he propagates this particular idea which all borders on the same concept of Advaita. There is no form, there is no name. The second principle, which is being propagated by the great Ramanujacharya, he said Vishishtadvaitam. God as a form, but also God as a formless side. Now, God is both energy and form. You cannot say God is only energy, God is only Shakti. There is a form which is being available across as a person. So basically, people get confused between Advaita, Dvaita and Vishishtadvaita. Now, Vishishtadvaita is represented by the great Narayana because Vaishnavite was Ramanujacharya. Plus, he also had the very great conceptual idea that common man cannot understand the absolute truth of Advaita, so he requires a via medium which is the what you call the Vishishtadvaita. He says there is switch, there is current. You switch it on, the current will flow. You use the form to reach the formless. Yes, God is in the absolute sense formless, but you need to come to the understanding by using God in the form, which is what is required across as a person. Now the other point of it is the great, I would call absolute great, the man who propagated the Dwitha Principle. Now he, Madhvacharya, he very clearly said you and God are different. You cannot become God. You can have attributes of God in a very small thimble like love, understanding, creativity, but you can never become God. That is the meaning of Dwitha. Dwitha stresses a lot on the practice part, the ritual part, the what you call the physical part. It's about that is Dwitha. Advaitha is a very conceptualized idea. Now that is why Adi Shankara was a contradiction. He wrote a lot of poetry about Shiva, about Narasimha, about Muruga, about a lot of people he wrote across. Yet he propagated the idea of Advaita. You want your practice to deepen, you want your worldly life, Artha Kama Dharma to be proper, then you will come into Dvaita. So that is why all religion, though they starts with the Advaitic concept, they end up having symbols, they end up having gurus, they end up having a different things. For example, God of seas is called Varuna. In Christianity there is somebody called the God of seas. In Islam also they have God of seas. They have put a saint across in that thing. So the common man cannot understand the absolute reality. So therefore the humanity, the practice is Dvaita. That is why all religion talk about practice. For example, even the great Jalaluddin Rumi praises the Prophet Muhammad before he starts the whirling exercise. In whirling, there is only practice. There is no concept of Dvaita or Advaita in this particular thing. So please do not get carried away by practice and philosophy. You can talk about cricket as a philosophy, you can do cricket as a practice. You can talk cooking as a practice, you can talk cooking as a philosophy. What you need to understand is that you should not get carried away by the concept of Dvaita and Advaita. What is important is practice. That is what the great Gautam the Buddha talks about, Apadipo Bhava. He says, be a lamp unto thyself. If you dig deep, you will be able to discover the truth about it. So it does not really matter. The Devata Yoga is very useful in the astral world. The astral world is the mind world. All those images are required to use in the journey. That is why the astral world, they talk about the Devata Yoga, the Devata and all those particular things. He is well explained in a very deep manner in the Mantram Shastram. But there comes a point in it's like education. You ask yourself, do you require education? After a point you come to the understanding that you might not require education. The education was valuable about something. The same thing, Dvaita, when the soul is immature, when the soul is limited, and when the soul does not have the beyond understanding of energy, you use the Dvaita principle to keep yourself afloat. But there will come a point in your sadhana where Dvaita will shift automatically into Advaita, like the Valalar. Though Valalar had a worship towards Lord Muruga, he kind of moved across into Advaita across. So the point is, you need to focus on the practice. Never get carried away by philosophy. There is leftist school and there is rightist school. The rightist school we can call it as Advaita. The leftist school we can call it as the Dvaita. The middle school is what you call it as Vishishta Dvaita. But these are only concept. Without 1 ounce of experience of divine thing, is never going to stop you from going beyond practice. So keep your focus very, very clear and don't get carried away by the philosophy. So this is the meaning of Dwitha, Advaitha and Vishishta Advaita of Christ. Thank you. Namaste. Today I am going to talk about the Numerology book. The Numerology book is a very, very unique book. Now it is based, first of all, what is the uniqueness in this book? You have the Numerology Yantras which are there. Now, nowhere you will see the Numerology Yantras which are available. The Numerology Yantras were given to my uncle Mr. Balasubramaniam. He came to my house and he handed over the Numerology Yantras to me as a person. I never knew the value of it till Mr. Shankar came and told me, and he said this is a very, very unique thing as far as the numerology is concerned. It is based on the Indian numerology for different situations. For example, how to make a child, how to have Karya Siddhi, like that the numerology is being given. The second one, you can predict through numerology. You can predict the marriage part of it. You can predict the childbirth part of it. Now we have set patterns. It is like what to predict. You can ask them to write the number and based on that you can give. It is like tarot spreads. There are numerology spreads. For the first time this book has been given. And it is a very, very advanced form of numerology where you can tell the what you call it, you can predict the yes or no, you can tell what kind of a person the husband will get, what kind of work he should do. All those things would be dealt very deeply in the book. We also have given in the Indian numerology. How the Indian numerology is there and how the names are used in the Indian numerology, which is also extensively being dealt across in that thing. Now this is a very, very advanced book for numerologists, people who are very Puritan in numerology and would like to go ahead and do it. Also, we have told which methodology is very good. Many people have a doubt whether it is a Pythagorean system or the Chaldean system is supposed to be very good. And the second one is many people don't know the position of the numbers in the planet. For example, Pandit Sethuraman had put the planets on the way he liked it across. It is not holistic, it is not comprehensive, it does not reflect the reality. In this, we have reorganized the numbers in a very logical and a methodical fashion which will help you across. For example, 1 is supposed to be Sun, 8 is supposed to be Rahu, 7 is supposed to be Saturn. It's like that order it is being given across. Whereas Pandit Sethuraman changed the numbers. For example, he put 9 as Mars and 4 as Rahu. Some kind of some combination he had given it across, which we personally feel do not have an impact on the particular thing. We have also given the remedial measures of numerology. Normally the remedial measures of numerology is like people ask you to write. In this we have given how to light the lamp, how to perform the yajna, how to do the puja for your name across, which is being given across in this book. So it is a very exhaustive, comprehensive book which can be used by any type of numerologist. It does not really matter whether you are a Chaldean system, whether you are a Pythagorean system, what kind of system you follow. It does not in itself, it's a whole, it's a comprehensive subject. We can call it like an encyclopedia of numerology. It is the advanced numerology systems which are available. And also you have to understand, now numerology is just not numbers. The numbers are converted into planets and the planets are used for the prediction across. Now when you convert the numbers wrongly with the planets, just like that of the Pandit Sethuraman, it does not produce the very good results across. So we have modified it and we have tested this thing many times. Now numerology is normally used for the name analysis. They analyze the name and they ask whether which name is suited according to the numerology across a person. Now this is one of the main applications of the numerology. A new child is born, so people see the starting letter, then they write down the names and they tell it to people, can we align it according to the numerology part of it, is something which we would be doing it across. The point is, now this is a wonderful system, but that you'll have to based on astrology, based on your lagna and based on the position of the planet, you should choose the numbers. Now many people try to choose the number based on the date of birth, that is the date of the birth which is being used across. Suppose if I am born in 6th January, they use the 6 as their name number, or the numbers like that they use it across, or they use the month in which they are born across. Like that, the variety of structures are there, but this is the absolutely comprehensive and a holistic structure where you use the position of the planet to predict the person's life across, which will help you to predict accurately. But since you do not have the horoscope, since you do not have the time, now we have given to you a method which is not based on the timing part of it, but the numbers are converted into planets. That is why 8 is considered as a very inauspicious number, not because it is ruled by Saturn, because it is ruled by Rahu. And we have taken a logical step, like Sunday is 1, Monday is 2, Tuesday is 3, like that. So which will be like logically the arrangement of the planets are being used across. So I request you to buy this book and use it across. It will be a very good guide to you. There are many theories of numerology, there are many schools and systems of numerology, but this is based on the Indian numerology, the closest to Indian astrology, and you will see fantastic results when you do that across. For example, lost objects, for example about education, a variety of other factors can be used to predict. And also the thing is, you can tell the yes and no. Suppose somebody is asking a question, whether it will happen or not is not something which many numerologists know about it. This book will tell you how to say yes and no very clearly across a person. So this is a very good book. Not I had written, I had excellent reviews. There were a lot of people who have read this book and have rated it very well across. And this is something which many people are like searching for it. Now many people don't get the yantras, they don't know how to do remedial measure using the numerology across. Whereas this system, this particular book talks about the different kinds of remedial measure, and also predictions for marriage, childbirth is all not there. So you want to learn about how to predict using numerology, then this is the correct book across. Also, please understand, it has come out of my years of research, of tinkering into it. It has not come back in just one go. So actually, I'm practicing for the last 23 years as an astrologer. As an online astrologer, you can take the consultation online with me also, but it had taken so much of time for me to write this book across. So therefore, I request you to value this knowledge and use it for your personal growth. The great Pythagoras says that everything is numbers, everything is vibration, and the numbers do tell about the vibration. And remember, during the very important changes in your life, your name will change. For example, Narendra Modi was called as Namo, and Rahul Gandhi is called as the Pappu boy. Now whenever people call him as Pappu, he looks like a small innocent child who cannot win an election across. So the people, actually your name should resonate into the life across. If the name is wrong and if the name is not very in alignment, you do not become very successful across. So that is why people give so much importance to name and so much importance to the company name across, and how it will be very helpful to you as a person. I also request you to look into my other books, and also you'll find it very useful and helpful to you as a person. Now, many people try to copy the tarot cards as a base for numerology. Even though I know tarot cards so well in a very exhaustive fashion, we have not used the principles of astrology for the numerology across a person. I request you to buy this book and also try to look into it in a very, very positive perspective of using numerology into your personal life across. Thank you. Now I am going to talk about the book on practical applications of Nadi astrology. Now, this book was written a lot years later, nearly at about 12, 13, 14 years later, and it was published by Vani Publication. K.N. Rao of Bharati Vidya Bhavan had published this book. Even till today, this book comes on the top 10 rankings of the book which is being sold by them. This was a breakout book in Nadi astrology. It was a very, very different book in Nadi astrology. Why? Because the first, earlier, the transits are seen from the moon. Paladipika states very clearly, transit has to be seen from the moon, and that was the thing which was used. In Nadi astrology, the transits are seen from the Lagna. That is the key point. Now in this book, elaborately the Saturn transits are given from the Lagna and also from the Jupiter and from Rahu Ketu. Now there are many astrologers who do not know to use the Rahu Ketu transit. Many people only rely on the Jupiter transit, and many people try to rely on the transit from the Chandra Lagna, which invariably goes wrong. So please understand, this book elaborates about the Nadi transit. And also in the introduction, we have talked about how somebody has checked me. Somebody has returned from Switzerland and he had asked me to predict, and I had done a prediction, and he had said all the things were correct and appropriate. Now this book is so comprehensive. By getting an approval from the university, somebody was doing a research on Nadi astrology. They wrote to me and I wrote to them the success, the prediction about him. He said it's correct, 95% accuracy. The second part of it is the Nadi technique can be applied in any horoscope. It does not really matter whether you can apply it in your horoscope, whether you can apply it in the X horoscope, Y horoscope. Many people have come back and told me your Nadi technique on transit is mind-boggling. It's accurate, it's stupendous, because it keeps on, we are able to replicate the technique. Normally in the Nadi astrology things, people try to mug up the sutras, people try to mug up everything, and that they try to use it again and again. This book is not like that. This book, you can apply the Nadi transits anywhere to any horoscope and you can come with a stunner prediction. The second part of it is we have given for every Saturn in first house, Saturn in second house, Saturn in third house. Like that, it is being exhaustively given. There is no other book on transit which will be very, very helpful to you. There are many books on the market. Maybe on the transit part of it is very less, but it cannot be used. Many people come back and tell me, I am very confused about using the technique. Can you simplify it? Transits are the simple principles, and it has been time immemorial used in the Nadi astrology books. You can read the Saptarishi Nadi, you can read the Bhrigu Nandi Nadi, you can read any Nadi across as a person. It is being used comprehensively by the sages. The second thing is, it is not it is probably an innovation by me based on the traditional text what I have written. Many people have have not read the original Nadi text, they try to copycat it from another thing. It is also copied by a person by name Satyamma Bharadwaj, who copied this book exactly on a word-to-word basis and tells it has been taught by my guru. All rubbish. The book has got published afterwards, and also the Brigud Saral Padhyati. There are many people who claim with the Brigud Saral Padhyati, it is nothing but these transits were copied. For example, Jupiter in the 12th house, what is it they will write? But where did they get this original knowledge? It is from this book. I can authenticate and say about it, this book has been copied by some of the biggest people, including A.V. Sundaram, who shamelessly came and told me when the book was published, it should not be shown to anyone, and he went ahead and used these principles as Nadi astrology along with Saptarishi astrology, and he went on to take a class, and he claims to be one of the biggest astrologers. Unfortunately, he passed away very recently. He also had copied from this book across, and also this book exhaustively talk about other Nadi techniques. For example, how to read a horoscope from the Karakas. Saturn is a Karaka for the work. Jupiter is a Karaka for the children. How different houses are used for the Karakas. Saturn 8th house will tell longevity. Saturn 10th house will tell about work. Saturn's 3rd house will talk about hard work. Mercury 3rd house will tell you about communication, laptop, cell phone. Mercury 5th house will tell you about your education part of it. So this is a very exhaustive book which is used on the principle of Bhrigu Nandi Nadi. We are not copied it from R.G. Rao. R.G. Rao had written a lot of books. In fact, one of my friend by name Kaushik Prasad asked me, how do we predict for the ailment? I said, put Rahu as the Lagna and see the planets. You will be able to get it exhaustively. He was so impressed by that. He published it in Astrology magazine along with my name across, and they were very, very happy about the entire thing, and it got published and we got so much of review about it. The other point of it, it talks about ages in the Nadi astrology. 0 to 9 is Sun, 9 to 18 is Moon, 18 to 27 is Mars. Like that, they are able to predict based on the position of the planet. Like this, there are many worked out examples which has been given to you across. Remember, this book has been published more than, let's say it was published close to 2006. It has been more than 14 years, and the book has been conveniently copied by many people without telling the original source. This is the original Nadi astrology book. That is why it has put as practical applications of Nadi astrology. The preface is written by none other than K.N. Rao, who had written an introduction about this particular book across. And of course, this has been a book which is a classic, which will be remembered time immemorial because it talks exhaustively about the Nadi astrology principle. In fact, you have a page where Karakas and different applications are given across. So remember to use this book. But if you have a difficulty, call me up, fix an appointment even through WhatsApp or video calling on Facebook. You fix an appointment, talk to me about your chart. I would be glad to help you across. There are many people who have applied this and came back and told me it is fantastic, it is wow, it is very good, it is remarkable. Like that, I have had a superlative explanation from different people across. Unfortunately, I have not had the time to promote this book. So if somebody buys a book, please do tell them about this Nadi astrology book. It is a practical application. Remember, the title itself is so clear that you can apply it. There are Nadi books which are written, there are a lot of horoscopes which are given, and people are not able to use the technique. You buy the Bhrigu Nandi Nadi R.G. Rao, you cannot use it. Whereas this book, you can use it. 100% you can use it. You can check your horoscope. You can look at the events and correlate with the transit of Saturn, Jupiter, and Rahu Ketu across. This is such a book that it will be like a copy in the library. It is a must-have book. It is not because I have written. I have applied this book so many times and have come stunning predictions even in mundane astrology. Many people are not aware that it can be applied in the mundane astrology. I had applied it even in mundane astrology, and it was one of the biggest prediction on Sri Lankan war based on the planetary Saturn transit. I had made a prediction across. So please understand, this book is of immense value to you, and we are not using the amsas of the Nadi astrology, the 150 amsas. People talk about it using the past dead heroes horoscope like that of the Hitler and all that particular thing. Especially the Delhi astrologers are very, very famous for using it, and it is like Sanjay Rath who talks about amsas. There is no amsas. It has direct application on the transits and direct application on the karakas, and you can make a stunning predictions based on that. And remember, it is easy, it is exhaustive, and it has covered all subjects across, which you can use it across. We are not fibbing, we are not talking about as a theoretical thing. Since my practice was heavy and I did not have the time, I had never promoted this book in a major manner. Now I am promoting the book because it will be useful for many people, and many people will find it very, very exhaustive into their life across. And therefore, if you want to buy the Nadi book, if you want to buy a book which has been useful to you without any slokas, without any mumbo jumbo, without any namby-pamby, this is the book which will be very, very helpful to you as a person. Buy this book, and you also have the classes in Udemy on the remedial part of it, which will also be helpful to you as a person. So I request you to buy this book and read hard content, and you will understand a great on the transits and how the Nadi astrology is read across everywhere in the world. Thank you so much. Off. Bye 20.